Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and it is Friday. The weekend is almost here. This is going to be a Raid Shadow Legends video going over actually a lot of stuff that we got to talk about. Not only did we get the Fusion champion, and we have some data, not Fusion, sorry, the Fragment champion, and we have some data from the community on how they feel about this champion as it's going to be coming down the pipeline here in a few days in game. But we've also got some big changes. We had Plarium release a video on their main channel teasing some new champions in May. We've got some quality of life features that they announced on Discord. We've got a test server coming soon. We've got duplicate rondas running all over the game, and then Plarium is yanking them off of people's accounts. We've got changes that may reduce the amount of people that want to take the time to use RSL helpers. So there is a lot to talk about in this one, but I will get you all caught up on what you need to know about Raid, the game, and the community as we head into the weekend. Let's get into it. Alrighty, so bear with me. This may be a little bit boring, but I'll do my best to give you some context as we're reading through here. But we got a Raid Digest type post from Plarium here this morning, and this was actually just like less than an hour ago as of me recording this, so this is hot off the press. So live arena progression check. Tier distribution in the live arena continues. Most players are working their way out of bronze and slowly entering silver. Once players enter silver, they no longer can return to bronze tiers. Plus, they lose rating points on a loss. So the progress to go further will have to be at least a 50% win rate. Right now, the competition is pretty steep due to the fact that players who have proven their proficiency in classic arena and live arena, basically due to the fact that players are still kind of working up towards those tiers, fighting to progress faster than the opponents, but with some more time, players will graduate from bronze, and then the main competition will slowly move to gold tiers. Yeah, so basically they're talking about what we kind of knew would happen with the live arena. You're going to have whales down there facing noobs, which isn't going to feel fair, but they're saying give this time, and some of those top level players will filter up into the higher tiers, and then you normal players will not be facing them anymore. So speaking of gold, we have our first competition in the gold tier 1. We've got a MAD and an SK person first and second in live arena rank respectively. So we want to congratulate them and clarify some of the most frequently asked questions in matchmaking over the last couple days. The way they worded this, they made it sound like it was going to be some sort of a show match. I thought they were going to do some sort of like featured match in game or something, but they're just congratulating people. I mean, that's great. You know, congratulations, these two people, but just the way Plarium worded that was kind of funny. But I guess as of right now, those are the top two people in live arena. While players cannot move back into the bronze tiers from silver, they can move back to the silver tiers from gold. Yeah, so gold is not going to be a permanent rank that you can drop out of by losing points in battle, okay, or prolonged inactivity. And then in the silver tiers, you may match with an opponent from the lower tier, in some cases with a bronze tier opponent. That's probably not a good thing, but okay. In gold tiers, however, there are special rules for the champion selection. Therefore, we can only battle people in the gold tiers. That's right. So you can start like blocking duplicate champions and all sorts of different parameters in gold. So that definitely makes sense. It wouldn't be fair if they brought a silver player into those matches and made somebody operate within those parameters when they aren't even ready to. Live arena is a competition feature, and success can be a lonely place. To progress, you will need to compete and compete properly, or you will need to more competitors. Wow, use the word competition 3 times in 7 words there. So compete proper. So you will need to compete and compete properly. You will need more competitors. Okay. While right now, Silver 3 and 4 has not had so many participants as you see in the leaderboards, they still can find opponents in different tiers, while the spearhead of the tier distribution will have to wait for competition to catch up to progress further. Okay, I have no clue what I just read. I don't want to be rude because I know this person's obviously talking in their second language, and they're doing way better than I would do in a second language, but I have no clue what this means. I think it's probably a reference to, like, if you're frustrated that you can't progress as there's more opponents that are in your tier, you'll get more consistent matchmaking and people that are more your level, so it'll then become easier to progress or something. Maybe it means something like that, I hope. And then the May week of events and tournaments. There has been a lot of buzz recently about our special May week events and tournaments. Some of it was positive and some of it not, yet we think that is a good opportunity to mention that these are special events with special art and all, and will not replace our regular events. So okay, yeah, this is a reference to the like artifact enhancement event that we're seeing with all of the top level oils in it, and the champion training with all of the soulstone blessing mechanics in it. They're saying that this is like special artwork and a special activity event that will not become the standard. So that's good to know because we were curious about that. I was kind of hyped up. I was like, hey, if this is going to be what artifact enhancement events are now, that's amazing, but looks like not, unfortunately. However, there might be more thematic events in the future. Okay, cool. Ronda duplicates. Yeah, this is an interesting one right here. Recently, we had an issue with an event for new players that resulted in the unplanned start of the guaranteed hero events, and it has stopped shortly thereafter. We are already resolving the situation and have prepared compensation for those affected by the bug. So yeah, I can actually explain this to you a little bit. And by the way, shout out to Blazin for always sending me screenshots and information on this type of stuff. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for the input. But what's happening is that there is going to be duplicate Rondas on certain accounts out there. There was a bug. They were able to get a duplicate one based on some of the events happening in game and all that. So you can see here a team with 2 Rondas, one that's not supposed to technically be possible at all. And that's why you have to empower Ronda with copies of Killian the Lucky, because it's literally impossible, or at least it's supposed to be impossible, to get a duplicate of Ronda, but some people were able to do so. So what ended up happening was Plarium would send them this message right here that it would basically say, due to unexpected technical errors with Ronda events, we apologize for the confusing accident, and they are taking appropriate actions to get your account correct by removing your duplicate copies of the Ronda that you're not supposed to have. And then for doing so, they shipped out this compensation right here: 15 ancient shards, 3 5-star chicken, 50 brews, a 3-day of XP, some multi-battles, and some energy. Okay, I don't know what to think about this. So, like, you know, it is Plarium's fault, you know, that it happens. So it kind of sucks to punish the player and remove the champion from their account. But also, it's it may be a little bit unfair, like if they got that free guaranteed bug of a second Ronda, and then it's not fair to other new players. They're like, well, wait a minute, I only got one, and it was impossible to get a second one. I can't even summon them or anything. So, like, I get that they had to make it right, probably, just in terms of making the game function smoothly and be fair to everybody. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I expected the compensation to be a little bit worse. 15 ancients is, I mean, usually Plarium would give like 50,000 silver and 5 brews and call it a day. So at least they gave them some sort of, yeah, I mean, this is probably like, in terms of like Plarium pack value, this is probably like a $20-$25 pack right here. So, I mean, at least it's something. I expected it to be like 100k silver. But then also, back to the news, they've got this down here talking about clan versus clan, and the next clan versus clan tournament will not feature personal rewards. That's perfectly expected because the last one did have personal rewards, and CVC should be starting here in just a few days on Tuesday once we head into early next week. But that's not all for the news. We've got a lot to cover today, like I said. So Plarium is going to be adding some quality of life features to the game, which is super important. Plarium has kind of fallen behind the industry standard a little bit on some of these quality of life features, most notably sacrificing food. They don't have a way to like mass crunch food instantly when you're doing champion training, which is just essentially the industry standard for all gacha games at this point. But anyway, we've got a gear selling filter. We added a special gear selling filter to all campaign locations and gear dungeons. The gear dungeon is the most important one, designed to be used when multi-battling, and it lets you filter out the gear that you want to keep and automatically sells the rest. So that is a feature that players have typically had to run to their PC and then use something like RSO Helper to take advantage of, which is a super important thing that I've been telling them should be in the game for years so that mobile users can have access to that as well, because it is extremely important, especially in a game this old when players have farmed thousands and thousands of artifacts. They need a way to sift through all the crap as they get more and more picky. And then they do a little bit of describing how this will work. You just have to pick one of each filter between rank, rarity, all of that, stats. And then I think this will be a great addition to the game. I've wanted mobile users to have access to something like this for a while. So this is definitely hype, and I can't wait to see. I'll definitely do a deep dive breakdown and a guide on how to do this once it is actually live in game, which, by the way, Plarium announced a test server coming for content creators. I can't like show it to you and give you the private embargo information, but basically you're going to see a bunch of videos coming out from your favorite content creators on like May 8th here in a few days. As we head into early next week, they will lift the embargo, and you'll start to see some of the stuff they're talking about by content creators showing you this stuff on the test server. And then they're also going to be improving the multi-battle settings, which basically the game is going to save your settings differently depending on the location between all of the different areas of the game, which is great. And then in the next update, going through your gear and selecting the best fitting pieces will become much easier with the newly implemented system of stats prioritization. So they're kind of taking like some of the stuff that the Hell Hades gear optimizer helps people do with prioritizing certain stats based on certain builds. If you're doing a damage dealer or like an arbiter for a high speed support or whatever, Plarium's going to be trying to implement some of this stuff in the game. I'm sure that the Hell Hades optimizer is still going to be better and more refined, so that's probably not going anywhere, but it's good that they're at least giving some of the mobile users and the more casual players an opportunity to do some of these like awesome sorting features to help build some of their champions. Now, Plarium also did put out this short all over their socials, like Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and all of that. I can't play the audio, but I did want to show you this. They're talking about some May champions that are going to be hitting the scene and all of that. I'll at least show it to you here on the news wrap up, but definitely you'll be able to see it all over their stuff, Twitter and everything, as far as the new champions that are going to be coming to the game. Obviously, they always do an amazing job on the aesthetics, and this is no different, but one really cool thing is the shield being used as the door, like right there. Absolutely love that. That's a super cool aesthetic that everybody was talking about in the comments. Oh, and look who it is. Look who decided to join us. You know, sometimes Neo likes to do his own thing in the morning and be off in the window, people watching, but he always eventually wants to hang out with us while we're recording, huh? Don't you? Yep. Okay, cool. So anyway, moving on into game, really not a whole lot to talk about other than what we covered yesterday, but we do have the 2x voids live right now. So the most important thing to take note of is the voids will be 2x voids will be live over the weekend, and then you can decide if you want to pull during the 10x for Aureus or not. If you want to pull for Aureus, you've got to do it today or tomorrow, and then on Sunday it will just be normal 2x voids without any sort of 10x boost. But I've been mentioning this in a couple videos that to be careful because we're probably going to be getting a guaranteed void event. So I just want you to keep that in your head. I'm not going to bore you and talk extensively because this daily wrap up video is already getting long, but there is going to be a guaranteed void champion at some point in May. I'm like 95% sure. So just as a warning to you, for you to choose if you want to prioritize the 2x event or save up to have a better shot at a guaranteed void event that they do here coming up soon. And as we move on to some of the other stuff happening in game, we already talked about there's going to be a CVC that is non-personal rewards coming up here in just a few days. That'll launch on Tuesday. And then as far as the tournaments and events, the most notable thing is probably the Fire Knight tournament going on right now because it has an Immortal Soulstone up for grabs here at 3,000 points. And the participation rate is going to be about 15 to 20% probably. So a little bit more robust than our average tournament for sure. And then the Champion Chase tournament right here. A 6-star glyph at 1150 is pretty nice because it's speed. Other than that, looks pretty normal. But that's the one coinciding with the 2x voids. Tag Arena tournament is kind of, is par for the course. It's Tag Arena. I know a lot of you aren't really super excited about a Tag Arena tournament. And then under the events tab, we have got a Dungeon Divers tournament. This one looks kind of lame, honestly. I mean, you do get a barrel at 7,500, which is cool, but other than that, really nothing noteworthy. It's not like the other ones we've seen with the oil and stuff like that. And then this champion training tournament or event, sorry, is a lot better in my opinion. This has actually got a lot of like the blessing mechanics and stuff in here. So that one's definitely better than the Dungeon Divers in my opinion. So, okay, time to fire up the shop and see what's going on in here. What's noteworthy? Personal pack builder, two personal pack builders. One's a purchase limit of 3 and one's a purchase limit of 2. That means neither one will be super good. And then this void pack is a purchase limit of 3, so it won't be super good either. But if you want me to plug in the void pack, I can definitely do that. Let's go over. Oh, no, I gotta fix that. Slide that over a bit, but it is $30 for 10 void shards, 30 brews, 450 gems, not bad. 10 superior potions, okay, and 25 of the mediums, and I think that's everything. Oh, 450k, so 450. And then boom, we've got a 1.13. So I guess for high spenders, a decent deal here on void shards. A high spender would probably purchase all 3 of these, but for your low and medium spenders, this isn't really a great pack coming in at a 1.13. And I'm also meeting with Smiley later today. We're gonna do a video. I'm gonna try to put it in video form with us going through the offer calculator and talking about all the values and if we want to make any adjustments to anything here to update this. And then personal pack builder, you'd go with something like book. Yeah, so I've seen this one before. Okay. Yeah, this one is not super great, I remember. And then the energy here, again, decent for a high spender, you know, especially because you can store this for a while until the fusion starts next week, but not going to be great for low to medium spenders. But I guess something that people might be curious about is what's better, 20 energy refills or 2800 energy. So let's go ahead, plug it in, reset. So it was 2800 energy is 1053. And then the energy refills of 20 is, okay, 977. So you would definitely want the 2800 energy. It's barely better. I guess I can put them both in here. Yeah, you got the 1053 versus the 977, but you get a little bit more freedom with the 20 energy refills because it's not a big chunk of 2800 at a time. So honestly, Plarium did a pretty good job of making them pretty even right here because the 2800 is technically a little bit better, but you get a little bit more freedom with the 20 energy refills. And then as far as doing the actual offer while we're here, we might as well. It was $20, and then you also got the 6 days of XP. And I guess it's a 1.28, so it was actually worth talking about. My bad on skimming over this. You know, I need to be better about. I'm always super conscious about trying to get through these videos as fast as possible because I know like your time is important, and you're gonna be like, just shut up and give me the information so I can move on with my life. So that's why I tend to like talk fast and I tend to rush, but I need to be better about finding a middle ground and just calming down a little bit in my content. So yeah, anyway, this is a 1.28 right here. And so grading out decently well for the middle to high spenders, but I typically, I tend towards like the upper tier of low spending, and I like to wait for like those 1.5s to dive in. But I've had the luxury of playing long enough to save up some resources. And Neo is already passed out over there. Okay, so that was quick. But anyway, appreciate all of you. Have a great weekend and a great Friday. Lots of news heading your way. Obviously, today, it might be worth doing like a website post over everything going on here in game today. But definitely let me know your thoughts down below on some of the changes happening in game. It's always great to hear from the community. And oh yeah, I remember we were going to talk about the fusion. I forgot about that. Can't forget that on the way out. So here we go. We've got the thoughts coming in from the community. Shout out to the 2,500 of you that voted over on the community tab. We have got the most common answer coming in at 53% for seems decent and kind of underwhelming being. So we got a lot of people in the middle here on these two. And that's because we don't know the multipliers yet. We're going to have to dive into the test server and all that. I'm assuming that the champion will, I haven't logged into the test server yet, but I'm assuming the fusion champion will be on the test server. And at that point, I can, even if we can't data mine the multipliers, I'll be able to test the champion and like plug in the values in a spreadsheet and reverse engineer the multipliers. So we will definitely know them by the time the fusion is live. And that's really important because then we can accurately assess if the champion is going to be trash, decent, or really good. Once we know the actual multipliers for a damage dealer, you will figure those out within the next 3 days or so because of the test server being available. Okay, now we're ready to cue the outro and say goodbye. So I appreciate all of you. Remember to subscribe on your way out if you enjoy daily Raid Shadow Legends content, and have a great weekend. I'll see you soon in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.